Day 17, 24 more stair workouts left, 23 days to go.
Today I was running, and this guy passes me in the car. And it's about 100 degrees out here, 70% humidity. And the guy comes back around, looks at me. He pulls his car by me and says, "Why are you out here?" I said, "Because you're not." Sometimes your motivation needs to be because no one else wants to do it. We need doctors. We need lawyers. We need dentists. We need teachers. We also need savvy. This message I do is not for everybody. Someone see that soft voice about, do you have sunscreen on? This message is dangerous. It's too hot. I'm not asking you to be like me. Do you? Stay hard. So today, I decided to try to PR my long run. So the first half of the run, I'm feeling great. My mind is clear, nothing going on. Thinking about nothing but my running pace, what I'm doing, my breathing, everything like that. Get to mile 15, I turn around, and the demons start to creep in. That inevitable wall is creeping up on me. When you push so hard, something's about to give. And I started to give. My mind started to break down. I started feeling my legs starting to hurt. I started feeling dehydrated. Started feeling sorry for myself. Started looking around. No one knows I'm fucking out here running. Why don't you go ahead and just stop? Call your girl, have her pick you up. And that's when I felt like a little. And this is when your mind has to change. You gotta start thinking, I'm the greediest in the world. Your dehydration, lick your lips. Your fucking legs are all sore. You feel like you got shin splints and stress fractures. No, you don't. You got sore legs. Get out of your head and stay hard. I just had an intense conversation about managing your expectations, how people need to manage their expectations, and about tripling down on your strengths and don't worry about your weaknesses. If anybody out there knows who I am, I totally disagree with all of that. I think it's crap, and that's exactly how the people in the world become weaker people. It's by capping your brain. It's by putting this kind of garbage in it about not attacking what you're not good at. It's about putting a cap on managing your expectations. If I lived that way, if I had any kind of thought process like managing expectations, I would be a 400-pound man by now, working some job that made no money, and I would never know my capabilities. I would never have become a Navy SEAL. I never took Ranger School. All these things I did. I believe in winning the battle against yourself. People say, why do you say that? Because there's a lot of things you can control. When you wake up, I talk about making your bed. Make your bed. Make sure your house is clean. Make sure you get your breakfast. Make sure you shower, shave. Whatever you're doing, control that. Don't hit the snooze button.
7.
All these things are very important. That's been told a lot of times. Why don't you hit the snooze button? Because you wake up already failing. You're already behind the power curve. So what happens when you hit the snooze button? You may not make your bed. You may not do your hair the way you want it. You may not pick the right clothes out in the morning time. And I go back to this real quick. Remember how you had a job interview for a job? We've had several of them in our lives. What did you do the night before that job, weeks before the job interview, when you knew you had it? You prepared you had a bowl out for your oatmeal, your cereal, whatever you had in the morning time. Your coffee cup was out. Your clothes were laid out. You studied, you rehearsed, you were ready. You brought your best self. You were going to war with yourself because you wanted that interviewer to see your best self. You won. You got the job. After a few months in that job, you look around. I got the job.
9.
You start to back off. The clothes aren't out. You're not ready. You hit the snooze button. You don't get up on time anymore. You realize that you can still have this job and not be your best self. The interview you is gone. Your job is gone. You have your job, but the interview you is gone. So winning the battle in the morning time is just that. It's that you wake up in the morning time and you own all this stuff. Because once you leave your house,
10.
the world then gets at you. And that's why I believe in not getting up in the morning time and checking your phone immediately. Everybody does that. They get up, the first thing they do is grab their phone, look at the phone. Maybe bad news on there. So how's your day start off? I don't go to the gym. I don't make my bed. You're caught up now on that phone. That's how your day starts. You lost control. So once you win that battle in the morning time, then once you go out, now you've won. You go outside your house, you may lose your job, you may have a bad hit, but you won something. So you're going into battle having already won something, having already won. So then if you hit the snooze button, you go out, you just defeated already. You're behind the power curve. Now you've won something. You feel better about yourself. So now you're able to take these hits along the way.
Wow.
So that's the mindset that I think it's important to bring with you every day you go, everywhere you go in life. Win what you can. My biggest advice to give everybody in the world is, like I say, we live in an external world. Everything is you got to see it, touch it. It's external. If you can, for the rest of your life, live inside of yourself. Stop listening to people who are calling you fat, gay, transsexual, nigger. Everything that is makes no sense. All these insecure people putting their insecurities on you, you got to flush it out. You got to just be whoever the hell God or whatever the hell you believe in. If you believe in nothing but yourself, I don't care what it is. You got to take everything and throw it away. You have to believe in one thing, and that is yourself. And I'm not saying don't believe in God or what you believe in, but right now, for you to find greatness in yourself, you're not going to find it by looking in a book or by even hearing me. I may give you the spark, but you've got to go inside yourself to find it. And that means you got to be quiet. Shut the fuck up, go in a room, stop talking, search your soul, search your mind, search your abilities, and you'll find it. But if you're not looking for it, you won't find it. So you got to go start your journey. And the journey starts with you finding, why the hell am I here on this planet Earth? Why am I here? And if you don't know that, you will live the rest of your life searching, always asking the question, why? They have the woe is me mentality. It's too hard. Life isn't fair. These things in life are not easy for me. You look to your left, you look to your right, and you start to judge yourself off other people. Like, if you're a female, well, she's skinny, she doesn't work out as hard as I do, and everything starts to corrupt your mind. You start to look around too much at other people and what they're doing, and that starts to corrupt your own dialogue. We are judging ourselves against too many fucking people. You have to judge yourself against yourself.
17.
And that's the one thing I started learning, man. This isn't a race against me and Rich Roll. This is a race against David Goggins and David Goggins alone. And once you can silence all that bullshit, all the outside interference and things that are attracting your mind to everything, you can then start to grow in realizing I'm stressed out for no reason. This is my own little race. This is my own timeline, and this is how I'm going to run it. I started getting around these real alpha males, these hard men. And I always put people way above me when I was growing up. Like, my God, they had to have a lot more than me to get to where they're at. And a lot of them did. But once you get around the best of the best of the best people, you can kind of start breaking them down and realizing, man, you're just as fucked up as me. Like we all have, but all you did was you hit it better. Your upbringing, your mom and dad, your society, the way you were raised, it hit it better than mine. You weren't the only black kid, or there was like 5 in a school. You know, I can't hide. Going through buds, I was the only black kid. You can't hide. But I started realizing, just because I look different than you, a lot of you motherfuckers can't hide either. So it started giving me courage through watching people that we all have a story. We all have a jacked up life in one way or another. Some of us don't have the guts to talk about it, though. And that's where I found the guts to talk about mine. True statement, man. And I look at it as psychological warfare. And that's where I started learning that life is one big psychological warfare that you play on yourself. You play on yourself, man. The most important conversation I ever had is with myself. And the shit I was telling myself was so fucked up, it was so wrong, it was so misguided. And other people start to write that dialogue for you also. And it starts to be what you say to yourself every single day. And I started creating a whole nother warfare, a whole nother battle started becoming. I was like, oh, hang on a second, Goggins. You have these tools. You have these tools. Your life was basically the perfect grounds for training for where you need to go in your life. All the beatings, all the bullying, all the, you going through learning disabilities, all the struggles. It was the absolute perfect training ground for you to go to where you need to go. And that's how I started looking at my life versus woe is me, poopy pants, kick a rock down the street mentality. It was, nah, God just hooked you right the fuck up. He hooked you right up, man, with the perfect place. You were training. For the first 18, 19, 20, you were training for this stuff, man. You have the advantage of everybody else versus, my God, they're so above me. They came from a great family. Mom and dad love them. They didn't have a learn, they didn't stutter, they didn't struggle. No, man, your struggle is what made you who you are now. So I started flipping this into a whole different, I started being a master of what I was scared of. I was scared of my mind. And I became literally a master of that mind. And that's what now, from now on, it sets me apart from most people. I started diving into that.
You are a guy that, for a lot of people, you sort of embody the idea of hardening your mind and figuring out a way to do things that most people think are impossible. You've sort of become that guy. How'd you become that guy?
You know what? I grew up not that guy. They see me now as the guy that with his shirt off, who can do 4,030 pull-ups in 17 hours. You can run 205 miles in 39 hours. Who can do all this crazy shit. But what they don't understand is they don't understand the journey that it took me to get to this point. My dad owned skating rinks, he owned bars, he ran prostitutes from Canada to Buffalo, New York. My dad was a big-time pimp, big-time hustler. Anything bad about a person, he was that kind of guy. In my mind, I was always afraid. My whole life I was afraid, but I had this voice, this conscience that would always be battling me, saying, hey, you got to get up and do something. And I have a big-time learning disability because my dad didn't believe in us going to school. So when I went to school, my learning disability, I had social anxiety. I was just a jacked up kid from living in this tortured home. So all the insecurities I had when I was a kid with my father, it just got worse and worse and worse. And that voice that I talked about, it kept talking louder and louder and louder, but I was doing nothing about it. From the age of 19 to the age of 22, I gained 125 pounds. I went from 175 to almost 300. 297 was my heaviest. And I started finding things that was comfortable. And the more things I found comfortable, the more uncomfortable my mind was. Because that voice I was telling you about, it always was there. I was just trying to avoid that conscience. I wanted to be left alone from that conscience, and it wouldn't leave me alone. What changed, I watched this Discovery Channel show, Class 224.
Class 224.
You get treated like the absolute lowest form on earth, and you really got to find it within yourself to say, you know I can do it. I know I can finish it. I know I can do anything they throw at me. That's where it builds character. If you find out if you got it in yourself.
I watched the show, and it made me reflect big time on the piece that I am, and I'm exactly what people said I was going to be. I was watching these guys going through Hell Week.
Hell Week, the most dreaded week of buds. It's the ultimate test of one's physical and mental motivation. A round-the-clock regimen of intensive physical training and harassment, with as little as 4 hours of sleep during the entire week.
And these guys are ringing the bell, quitting, dropping their helmet down, rolling out. A lot of guys just leaving. And it made me reflect on my fears, my insecurities. And I saw real men, what I thought were real men who were staying, who were overcoming adversity, who were overcoming all these different things that I had blamed so many people in my life, my dad, my mom for not being there, my learning disability, my skin color. And so I sat there for a while, and I was like, no one's going to come to help me. No one's going to come to help me. It's me against me, period. I had to man up, And I said, the first thing I gotta start doing is facing every fear I have. So I started calling recruiters up. I said, I'm gonna go be a Navy SEAL. There's a weight and height limit to get in the military. And I was 6'1" and 297. And I called this guy named Steven Salgio, recruiter, up. And he said, hey, come on in. He saw me, put me through the weight standard, all this other stuff. And to get into the class I had to get into, I had to lose 106 pounds in less than 3 months. So I was like, I can't do that. I grabbed my chocolate milkshake and went back to Ecolab, where he sprayed for cockroaches. I'm going back to work, man. This is my life. I don't like cockroaches too much. I hit the mother load of cockroaches. And I sat there and said, this is my life. This ain't gonna be it for me. So I quit my job, got back in my Ecolab truck, and I went home. So my first run, when I decided to lose the weight, I was, like I said, 297. I was about 32% body fat. My idea was to run 4 miles for my first run. I didn't know how bad it's gonna hurt me. I used to run before I was fat, and I was like, I can do this. I ran a 1/4 mile and walked home. I walked home and sat on my couch and cried. I don't know what I'm gonna do. And my mind just kept with me and kept, you're not good enough, man. This isn't for you, man. These guys are the best on the planet Earth. You're not that.
How do you move forward?
What it was, and it's kind of funny, I was obsessed with Rocky. And I would fast forward with the little VHS tapes to round 14. Round 14 me up like nobody's business.
Hard left in the right combination. What is keeping him up, Bill? I don't know.
When Apollo Creed beat the out of Rocky, beat the out of him, he kept fighting. He was a dumb fighter, couldn't read, couldn't write. That was me. He was in the corner, everybody was saying, stay down.
Down, down, stay down. Apollo dancing around with his arms in the air.
And him getting up, Apollo Creed raised his arms up in the air, turned around, thought he won the fight. He turns around and sees this guy getting up, and it was the face of Apollo Creed that changed my life. The face of Apollo Creed. It was like, just by that getting up, not winning, just by him getting up, Rocky had taken his soul. Had literally taken his soul. His head goes down, he looks at him like, what are you? I wanted to be that. I wanted to be the guy that people looked at. I don't care if you liked me or didn't like, I don't care. But it said, this girl's gonna keep coming after whatever is in front of him. I wanted that. I wanted that. I wanted that worse than anything in the world. I kept picturing me falling down and getting up. I wanted to feel something besides defeat. I wanted to just go the distance. I say what if a lot. It sounds corny and it sounds weak, but it's true. What story would it be if my fat, dumb, insecure can overcome me? What if I can be a SEAL, man? How would that feel? To go from this fat, insecure to one of the best guys on the planet Earth. This journey is gonna take something that is gonna be incomprehensible to most people. So I would sit on my couch saying, who at 297, who can't swim that great, who's scared of the water, would have the balls? Who had the balls to man up, quit a job, and to put everything on himself. So it's how I started talking to myself and putting myself in a whole different category, and that would fuel me the next day, and I just kept using that as fuel and fuel. No one would do that. No one would do it. You're the best around. You're the best ever lived. I just kept fueling me with the right kind of message that I needed to hear that I was never telling myself. So it became from being defeated to like, man, maybe tomorrow I'm gonna go 0.75. But I started realizing I can't run that far. So what I did was I became damn near a professional cyclist with the miles I put on the bike. I rode a bike a lot to lose the first initial kind of weight because my bones were just hurting so bad. My body was just broken. And then The bike got easier. I was able to run more. I went from like 1 mile. 1 mile was a great accomplishment. 2 miles, and then from 2 to 3 was a big one. Then I went from 3 to 6. They have a warning order that they give people to get ready for buds. And the whole thing was running 6 miles 5 days a week. And that was my goal. I failed, I'll go back to scratch. I use some positive motivation. I have like one day where I'm like defeated. But I started realizing this is part of the process. This is part of the journey versus just saying, like I used to, I'm just not good enough.
48.
We always say that I'm just not good enough, and then we try something else. I'm gonna make myself good enough. And that became my mentality. I had to invent a guy that didn't exist. I had to invent a guy that can take any pain, any suffering, any kind of judgment. I had to build this callous mind, and I built it through suffering. I built it through downright and just crushing myself. If it was raining outside at 3 o'clock in the morning, if it was
23
snowing,
days to go.
my instinct was, we got to go out there. Anything that was horrible in my life that I would normally say no, that was inhumane to most people, I had to go do it. And I lost the weight. I went back to recruiter. I got into that class, and I went through 3 Navy SEAL Hell Weeks in 1 year. Only guy to ever be in 3 Hell Weeks in 1 year, to my knowledge. The first one I didn't make it through. The next 2 I did. I didn't stop anymore from there, and I started realizing through this process that the mind is what you created. And I started opening different doors that I didn't think were even there. That I didn't think even existed. And the more doors opened up, the more I started realizing that my potential is damn near
I got so much
endless.
to do today. I'm done with the stairs. Time.
If anybody knows my life story, and I'll try to give you just a snippet of it to get through where I'm at now, there's nothing but pride I have for myself that I can't really show people. Because I have this face. I have this face that they see like, are you happy? What's wrong with you?
17.
You're missing the story,
I'm training
man.
for the fight for Marathon. 23 days left.
Am I happy? What do you
So we're
think?
climbing at the Bank of America
Don't
building.
misunderstand the passion in which I
Downtown San
speak
Francisco.
for not being